Hello everyone and welcome to another video here on the Cycling Dane Extra channel. If you're listening on the Cycling Dane podcast, yes, it is another transfer talks. We took a break last week and yeah, we have really been furnished with some stories now. So it was a good break to say the least. But as always, I'm joined by Patrick Blake. And Patrick, I think the one we should just start with is Derek G and what's going on there, because this is one I did not have on my bingo card for this transfer season.
Yeah, for those who don't know, what's going on is that Derek G has terminated his contract with Israel Premier Tech, which was a contract, I believe it was signed in 2023, and it was a 5-year deal until 2028. That was obviously after his fantastic Giro d'Italia in 2022, where he got like 1,000,000 second places or something like that. So he signed a 5-year contract deal in 2023, but that has been ripped apart for all intents and purposes. It's a little bit confusing as to what is actually going on. There's a lot of legal stuff, but essentially, I think Israel Premier Tech still believe that he is obligated to see out his contract and that they don't think it's very just what's happening. Whereas Derek G, his legal representatives or something have, I don't know, basically just terminated his contract. So I think it's now sort of in the hands of the UCI to act as the ombudsman, I suppose, the regulators in this situation, and try and figure out whether what has happened here is allowed or not. It's not the first time that we've seen contracts terminated. One doesn't jump to mind, but we have seen people leave early, and our speculation will obviously be on where he might go, but Derek G put out a statement saying that doesn't have any connection to any team at the moment. I don't know whether to believe that or not. I think that, the sharks start circling once they taste blood, don't they? So I think that there will be some teams who are already interested in signing Derek G. And it's a bit of a weird one because he had that long-term contract, and it just seems like a bit of a theme now with cycling, with Evenepoel being bought out of his contract. I know that Derek G hasn't been bought out of his contract, but just these sort of going against the norm, of you have a contract, you see it out, then you can change teams then. But what do you think of this whole thing, Scott?
Yeah, it's such a weird story. In his statement, what was he saying? He was saying something like, I confirm that my contract with Israel Premier Tech has formally and duly terminated by my legal representatives. This was not an easy decision, but one I made after careful consideration and for legitimate reasons. We don't know what the reasons are. Certain issues simply made my continuation at the team untenable. I want to make it clear, despite some current reporting, this decision solely concerns the termination of my previous contract with the Israel Premier Tech. In accordance with UCI regulations, like you said, I have not signed nor even spoken to any team. Yeah, I would like to know what those reasons was, but I don't think we are going to know that. And this comes off like not completely, but him getting the 4th place in the Giro d'Italia, it all seemed fine. They're moving up to World Tour. Kind of that poster boy, I think he is. And it is a Canadian Israel team. It's more Canadian than Israeli. So, yeah, obviously Sylvan Adams is the owner. He's Israeli Canadian. So, yeah. If it's political reasons, probably might be. Who knows? I don't really understand it. I don't know what's changed from the Giro till now. So I think maybe somebody has been knocking on the door, and that somebody might have been David Brailsford.
Yeah, it could well be, couldn't it? I think it's not beyond the realms of possibility to think that, although he is saying that, there's no, I don't know, he hasn't been speaking with teams, I find it hard to believe that this hasn't come, it's either come off of because the relationship has really soured very quickly with Israel Premier Tech, or that he's heard of other teams being interested and is kind of looking for a legal, legitimate way, as he puts it, to almost get out of the team and go somewhere else. And I think it's kind of, I can understand it. Like you said, he was 4th in the Giro d'Italia. That was a very, very good performance from him. Who knows? Like, he's very much a late bloomer into the sport. You don't know whether he might still get better. Maybe he sees Israel Premier Tech in the future, although they're going World Tour with this next UCI cycle pretty much guaranteed. They've got so many UCI points, it's kind of impossible for them to not to. Maybe he's looking at his future and thinking, well, maybe they're not going to be the team which can support my GC ambitions, and maybe he's trying to get in on another team. I don't know. But that's just my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, he was actually down for the Welter, which was quite crazy that, yeah, not went to the Welter, then did this. I'm thinking, yeah, in history, Roland Dennis, he had like a very abrupt breakup with Bahrain Merida at the time. I think it was Bahrain Merida they were called. But yeah, obviously the Remco one is, as you said, buying out. This is tearing up with his legal representatives, which is like, yeah, well, that's what it is. Is there anyone else but Ineos Grenadiers you could just see have kind of maybe been responsible for this kind of ignition in this relationship? Soudal, boom. They filled the hole with Derek G.
Just Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe seem to sign every single GC contender where he's going. Maybe he's going to go there. It's possible. It's honestly not beyond the realms of possibility. Who else would I consider? Maybe Byron Victorious. I know they sort of have Boitrago and Lenny Martinez, but Caruso's getting towards the end of his career. Maybe Derek G could step into that role. Decathlon seem to be making, obviously they're changing names as well. They're getting like is L'Oreal still coming in as a sponsor or something like that? No, they're getting some new sponsoring. They're on the up Decathlon. They're getting money basically. Maybe he goes there. EF. I never got Carapaz. Maybe they're looking for another GC contender. I think there's multiple teams that it could be, but I think any one of those would be a good fit, to be honest. And I just presume that's why he's leaving, is that he thinks that the grass will be greener at one of these other established World Tour teams rather than a team which is moving up into the World Tour. Do you think that makes sense?
Maybe it was just sad because Jakob Fuglsang, his right-hand man for most of the season, and last year he retired and left the team. And obviously, Fuglsang also gave some statements about leaving Israel and how, like, the political thing as well. Like, he didn't feel comfortable riding with the jersey because of what's happening overseas. And Alessandro De Marchi said as well.
It's all very forwards and backwards, isn't it? But we're not a geopolitical podcast. Yeah, exactly. We're just this is just cycling.
Yeah, let's not dig too deep because there's many places in cycling where you don't want to get to. That aside, other story or like a rumor, we'll get to the confirmations in a bit, but Juan Ayuso, we talked about this before. Obviously, there's so many ridiculously good riders there. Almeida, Ayuso's currently, Tadej Pogačar, Isaac Del Toro, and then you've got all the guys coming up through the ranks as well. Yeah, Brandon McNulty drive behind. It's crazy, that team. Yeah, what do you make of this Juan Ayuso linked, or if he's going to be leaving? Seems like Lidl Trek is the place he would be going. The Danish team, Lidl Trek.
Yeah, I know. Kind of strange, eh? Yeah, so this is coming off of an article put up in the Giro Gazzetta, or they put it up on Twitter, X, whatever. What do you want to call it? They say, an update about Juan Ayuso's sources told that a move from UAE at the end of 2025 is, quote, not impossible, despite his contract. Well, clearly that seems just to be the way that things are, Scott, nowadays. And if the move happens, Lidl Trek can be considered a very solid option for the Spanish rider. Yeah, Lidl Trek, not the first name that I would have thought. I mean, we've talked about Ayuso before, and we've said Ineos, we've said Movistar, definitely, like, several times. Those teams seem to be a more logical fit because Movistar is the Spanish World Tour team. Ineos have quite a Spanish-speaking contingency in the squad and in like the staff and whatnot. So those two make the most sense. Although Ayuso speaks perfect English because he grew up in California. Honestly, whenever he is an interview, I'm like blown away. I'm like, this guy's insane. Yeah, I don't know. We're back here again, Scott, with Ayuso, UAE Team Emirates. Like you say, they've got a lot of chefs in the kitchen. I mean, if I was a user, I'd leave. Personally, I would do. I think looking around the squad, okay, yeah, you got the Giro, but you got stung by a bee and you crashed, and that's why you left that race. But yeah, now he's got a co-leadership with Almeida. It just seems like you get one bite of the cherry almost in UAE Team Emirates in a season. You get the one big goal and that's it. It's like McNulty and the Giro was fighting for that top 10. And then he got the Tour of Polonia, and now he's being sent, Deutschland Tour, Tour of Luxembourg. There's not that many races going around in the UAE Team Emirates leadership. So it would make sense to go to a different squad, which might give you more opportunities, right?
Yeah, completely agree with that. And I mean, he's still fairly young, but obviously he wants to maximize as much wins as he can. He's a very, very strong rider. We've seen that in multitudes of different race scenarios, from time trialing to hilly one-day races to mountain stages in the Giro. Yeah, and he hasn't been on the podium since that first Grand Tour he did in the Vuelta a España a few years ago now. So Lidl Trek, is that the right way or right place? I mean, Skilmos is there, Ciccone, Theo Gegenhardt, but Gegenhardt is kind of nowhere these days, unfortunately. Ciccone, we talked about this in the previous show. He hasn't finished inside the top 10 in a Grand Tour, so he's not really a threat in terms of consistent leadership in that sense. Skilmos, top 5 in the Vuelta last year, coming up, I guess. But Mats Pedersen, I think, is maybe one of the big rivals for him there, and Jonathan Milan, because these guys would steal guys away from you in the Tour, for example, if that's what he's going for. But yeah, with Ayuso, if he's wanting to go to the Tour de France, he needs to leave UAE Team Emirates. Well, he can go, but he's not going to be the leader.
Yeah, exactly. I think, yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, it's all about the Tour. It's about giving yourself the best chance of winning the Tour, and that's just not going to be the case when you're at best second fiddle to Tadej Pogacar. Does Lidl Trek make sense? It makes as much sense as anywhere else, really. Like, they'll have the money to sign him. They've got a decent set of climbers to support him in a Grand Tour. And like you say, I think the main problem is you'll be splitting that team pretty much half and half with a Pedersen or a Milan for the Tour. Especially since Milan won the green jersey this year. I think he'll be wanting to go back again and do that. So Lidl Trek is, makes sense. They don't have a big GC contender. Like, you named the ones which they have. And I'd say that Ayuso is a step up than those guys. So I think Lidl Trek, yeah, I mean, it makes as much sense as an Ineos or a Movistar or whoever we've said before in other iterations of this.
What about
Bahrain? Bahrain as well. Like, realistically, on a scale of like 1 to 10, how likely do you see this move happening? Maybe it's not Lidl Trek, but he moves at the end of this year.
Okay, I'm going to say 9 he moves.
Really? I was going to say like 4.
Oh, shoot.
I don't think it will happen.
You don't think? You think they're just going to keep, like, bench him like we've seen with other riders? Like, Moscon they understood that he was a problematic character, shall we say, but they would rather keep him than anyone else having him.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, exactly. That way you can just, rather than facing him, you just have him in the squad. I think if UAE Team Emirates can afford him, then why would they let him go? Because all they're doing is opening up. They might just end up getting, attacked by Ayuso in a race in a different team. If he's not providing like a financial problem and you're clearly winning loads of races, like clearly UAE Team Emirates aren't short of money or wins, then why wouldn't you just tie him down and say, no, you can't leave? Because what do they want? More money? It's like, to buy who? Like, who else do you want? Like, you've already got like the best squad. So I don't think UAE Team Emirates would let him go easily, and therefore I just don't see it realistically happening.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I think he has to be content with winning the Tour of Austria, the Tour of Slovenia, the Copy of Italy for the next 5 years. He did win Torino this year, so yeah. But Ayuso aside, Q36.5 have really been making some transfers. We covered a few of them. Eddie Dunbar, quite an interesting one from Jayco Alula. We also had Niklas Larsen not going to Q36.5, but a former winner of Tour of Denmark going to the Team Rockets team. I forgot to mention that last time. But Q36.5, we know they have billionaire backers. They have signed Fred Wright from Bahrain Victorious, and I did not see that one coming at all. And they also signed Sandro Maurice, I can never pronounce his name, from Alpecin. So, yeah, what do you think of the recent signings? I'll try and see if I can dig out some more rumors. But yeah, they're really making moves, Q36.5. And we talked about if that Intermarché place did become available, they probably would be the team to try and win the bid for that. So they could be on the World Tour. There is a pathway for them to be on the World Tour next year.
Yeah. But did you mention Chris Harper in there as well?
Oh, no. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, right. That was the one I was missing. I was like, there's one more? So they're just stealing Jayco Ayula guys.
Yeah, literally. So, yeah, Harper, Marissa, and Fred Wright. I mean, that's a good trio to be bringing in. And I agree with you, Scott. I did not see Fred Wright leaving. I was like, oh yeah, he'll just stay at Bahrain Victoria. So that was a bit of a surprise. And yeah, like Harper as well. I didn't see him leaving Jayco. I thought he won that stage in the Giro earlier this year. I don't know. I just think that moving doesn't necessarily. I don't think it's like an upwards move. I feel like I'm not sure what these riders have been told by Q36.5 in order to like persuade them. Is it just money? I don't know. Maybe it's more opportunities, but it's a real bolstering. And like you say, with Intermarché and Lotto merging, whether this means they can get a World Tour license, I'm not even sure if they'd make it this time around, but definitely the next UCI cycle, they'll definitely be aiming with with Pidcock and Fred Wright, who's just fourth in the Renewai Tour as well, by the way. Harper, good GC contender. Marissa was raking in UCI points in those Italian classics at the end of last year in 2024. He was just finishing top 10 for fun in those. You got a good three riders going in there with, when you've also got Pidcock in there and Fabio Kristen as well. Yeah, they've got a good chunk of riders to really have a foundation to go for the World Tour license. So yeah, Q36.5 have been making some absolute moves, and yeah, I really rate it actually. I think that so far they've been making the most moves in this transfer season. We haven't really had, I mean, obviously like Remco, you could say, he's moving, but in terms of quantity, Q36.5 have been making a lot of transfers. Have you found any other rumors?
Not quite, but I mean, speaking of Soudal Quickstep, we just missed it by 1 day from our last transfer talk. That's Alberto Dainese is joining the team. They've also had a few other signings as well of Stefan Kras. We talked about him before. Fabian van den Bosch as well joining the team. I think that was it. And also another one not really connected to Alpecin, Dris de Bondt. Remember him doing wild turns in the Giro for other teams to try and get himself on the market. He's joined Jayco Alula. They've also signed Filippo Conca, the Italian champion currently riding for the gravel team SWAT Club. We basically thought that was going to happen anyway. And Zana isn't confirmed yet, but he is rumored to be leaving to Ineos Grenadiers on a €1 million contract, which is a lot, I think, for a guy like him. And Matthias Norsgaard, the tallest rider in the World Tour, is going to Lidl Trek from Movistar. He's been with Movistar for a very long time, and now he's in the pseudo-Danish team of Lidl Trek. So Dane number 70,000 in that team.
Yeah, lots of Danes in that squad. And then just to kind of round up, Jennifer Bierman moves from Arkea B&B Hotels to Cofidis. Obviously, Arkea B&B Hotels is kind of unconfirmed as to whether the team's actually continuing or not. I think that decision's being made towards the end of the Vuelta, so Bierman's going to a team which will be continuing next year. That's a smart move. Antoine Lowe goes from the AG2R development squad to the main squad, and Bastien Tronchon moves from Decathlon AG2R to Groupama, the winner of Trobo Lyon earlier this year. And also one under the radar, Anton Schiffer moves from Bike Aid to Visma Lease Bike. And this is a guy who came fourth in the Cebu Tour earlier this year, but won the main mountaintop finish on stage 3 ahead of Matthew Riccatello, most notably. So I think Visma are seeing a chance to have a little bit of an under the radar pick there, and he actually joins the squad like imminently, not for next year, but as of the 1st of October, he will ride for Visma Lease bike. So he's actually going to the Great Tour of Guangxi for them. So we'll get an immediate gauge as to how he is in the World Tour. And I think that's it for confirmed transfers.
There is a rumor by Daniel Benson, the transfer guru, that Biniam Girmay could be signing for Ineos Grenadiers or to Astana.
Why?
Yeah, or
wait, Binny going where?
Ineos. That's been reported before as well, way before. I think after his Gent Wevelgem.
Because we were talking about him going to UAE last time.
Yeah, and Astana and Quickstep, like everybody is rumored to him.
Jayco that's just off of the back of a team merger going on and a bit of an uncertainty.
He might just stay there, so you never know. But 2.8 million, that's a hefty sum of money for many teams.
It is, isn't it? It's not a bit of money that lots of teams will be able to cough up.
Could almost get you half a Pogacar.
Mate, half a Pogacar would probably still finish in the top 10 of the Tour.
What's been your favorite confirmation from this week? Let's end it. We can finish with that.
I was going to say Tronchon, but it's just kind of one French team for another, to be honest with you. I like the Fred Wright move, to be honest, to Q36.5. I think that's quite kind of underrated. I don't know whether it is money or whether they're all going, actually kind of rally around the underdog. Let's try get to World Tour, Road to Glory, weird kind of fashion. I don't know. I think it would be kind of cool to see Fred Wright and Pidcock on the same team.
Yeah, I think that was a very cool transfer and maybe get some more opportunities. My favorite one, I was going to say Northcote, but I feel like that is like you picking a Yorkshire transfer, so I'll refrain from that one. I think the Dainese one, we didn't really talk about that. Do you think that moves the needle for them at all, with Tim Merlier being within the squad and Paul Magnier? I don't understand it.
It's just a guy to send to the Giro so that Merlier can go to the Tour.
Yeah, pretty much. And for that reason, he's not my favorite one. So I'll go for, oh no, I'm back at Northcote. Oh well, Matthias Northcote. We're going to see him doing a lot of pulls, I think. Maybe he's going to be replacing the Tim de Klerk job. I mean, we saw in the Welter that Little Trek like to do a lot of work in a stage. So it's going to definitely be seeing him a lot next year. But anyways, that's basically it for this transfer talks. We'll be back when there's more transfers with this series. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below if there's any transfers we missed out and what your opinions have been on the rumors as well. Derek G, Juan Ayuso, etc. And even Bini going to Ineos, apparently. Who knows with that story, but I'm sure we'll figure that out in the end. But until next time, thank you for watching and we will see you around.